What up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie, and today I'm going to talk about Magician Apprentice by Raymond E. Feist. So Magician Apprentice is the very first book in the Rift War saga. So Magician Apprentice was published in November of 1982. I have actually never heard about this series before, and when I started my channel, my best friend Steven was like, "Have you ever read the Rift War saga?" And I said no. And he's like, "Well, it is one of my favorites. I have read it several times." And then lo and behold, for my birthday this year, books 1 and 2 showed up from Steven. And I incorrectly assumed that it was just 2 books. And when I was about 40 pages from finishing this, when I was talking to him about it, and I was like, "I'm so disappointed. This story has such potential." I said, "I don't know how this guy's gonna wrap it all up in another book." And he goes, "1? Try like 12. I was like, "What?" I was so stoked. I am very much looking forward to this series, and I am making the prediction based off book 1. This will become my second favorite fantasy series ever. Look out, Sword of Truth and Wheel of Time. Don't come for me in my comments. Don't come for me. Okay, now that I've read the book, let's read the synopsis and see if it has anything to do with the story. A worthy pupil, a dangerous quest. To the forest on the shore of the Kingdom of the Isles, the orphan called Pug came to study with the master magician Colgan. But though his courage won him a place at court and the heart of a lovely princess, he was ill at ease with the normal ways of wizardry. Yet Pug's strange sort of magic would one day change forever the fates of 2 worlds. For dark beings from another world had opened a rift in the fabric of space-time to begin again the age-old battle between the forces of order and chaos. Nope. I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad I went into this book blind, because that synopsis, if I had picked this up in a bookstore, first off, the cover is boring as hell. It's just boring. It's nothing to it. I looked at the other cover from the original edition. It's whatever. Combine the lack of an interesting cover. Of course, I do have the mass market paperback edition. But combined with the uninteresting cover, you have a very vague synopsis. This synopsis does not do this story justice at all. As a matter of fact, some of the stuff it talks about doesn't even happen in this book. Now, what Steven did tell me is book 1 and book 2 was originally written as one book, but it was so large the publisher told Raymond, "Hey dude, this ain't gonna fly. You're not gonna be able to sell a book this large." Which is ridiculous, because if it is good, we will buy it. Hello. At any rate, so they split it into 2 books. So maybe that's why the synopsis doesn't line up. So let me just briefly summarize the story for you. This book focuses mainly on Pug and Thomas. They are best friends, almost more like brothers. So Thomas's mom and dad are employed at the castle, at the keep of the castle. And Pug is an orphan of the keep. Thomas's parents have basically looked after and cared for Pug, and so therefore, it's no surprise he and Thomas are best friends. Where the story opens, and it's tradition in Cryde, which is where the castle keep is, that when a boy turns 13, that's when he begins to learn the ways of his craft. Before then, they kind of bounce around from and work with the different craft masters to kind of test out and see how they do with each of the crafts. When they're 13, all of the craft masters have met, they've discussed all of the boys, and determined who they're going to pick to be their apprentice. Now, depending on how things are at the time, if there are more 13-year-old boys than there are apprentice positions, then there are some who don't get picked. And they can do one of 2 things. They can leave and go to another town, or they can become farmers or fishermen if they so choose. But the boys typically don't want to do that because there's no glory in it. So the sword master calls Thomas to be his apprentice, which is exactly what Thomas wanted. And Pug is literally the last boy standing. And it is becoming very apparent that no one's going to choose him. The last minute, the magician, Colgan, steps forward to take Pug as his apprentice. Well, the magician really isn't considered part of Crites, of the Duke's realm, but the Duke allows it because Colgan does advise him and he is a master of his craft, so the Duke allows it. And it may be more so he just didn't want Pug to be embarrassed that he allows it, but at any rate, Pug accepts because it's better than the alternative. So as the story progresses, Pug has magical ability and talent, but even though he is learning and reading all of the scrolls and incantations, he just can't make it work. Like, it's almost there, but there's just something holding him back from being able to perform as Colgan does. Colgan himself is worried because if he can't get this to work, he's gonna have to release Pug, but he knows there's something there. He just can't figure out what to do. So he decides, you know what, I'm gonna let Pug kind of instruct himself and maybe he'll find the way that works for him. Pug is struggling with his magic. However, there are 2 occasions that he finds himself or those with him in danger, or he perceives his life to be in danger or threatened, where he is able to see an incantation and perform it and save himself. Where the next part is where I have a problem, because as the back talks about, there's an alien race who forms a rift in space-time, and they come through and invade. Events allow Pug to travel with the Duke as he seeks out help from the rest of the kingdoms throughout the kingdom and the king himself. And of course, there are many altercations with the alien race, with other enemies of the realm. There were several big scenes where Pug's life was in danger, yet he didn't even try to do magic. So I kind of got confused. So it felt like the author began one story but turned it into a completely different one midway through. Like, it started out, Pug became an apprentice of a magician. He's trying to learn magic. He kind of hits a brick wall. Suddenly, the realm is in danger of an alien race. They're going for help. His life is definitely in danger, and the author doesn't even have Pug try. He doesn't even think to try to do magic. You know, at least have him try and fail like you started in the beginning saying, well, obviously Pug can't figure out his magic. At least have him try and fail, but he didn't even have him try. Like, it was so focused on, I mean, the story was 100% focused on Pug's point of view, but like, he's studying for 9 years to become a magician, and that wasn't even his first thought to try to protect himself using magic. So that kind of aggravated me a little bit. I feel like that was an oversight of the author. You know, keep your line of your story going. You know, I just thought he should have at least had him try and fail. Like, if you don't want him to be able to do magic for that part of it because you have something happening later, cool, I understand, but at least have him try. So let me follow up that dislike with something I really liked. This is something that I cannot remember seeing in another book. So the dukes, the king, the princes, the princesses are so nice. They are nice to everyone. They are nice to their peers. They are nice to those that are higher in the hierarchy of class than they are. They are nice to the lowest of the servant in the keeps. They are so honorable, and I just really enjoyed that. Typically in books I read, when you have nobles, they are selfish, they're greedy, they're evil, they're horrible. But in this book, they are all so courteous to one another, and it seems so genuine. Like, I just really appreciated that. I mean, it did not matter the station of the person speaking with them. They treated and spoke to them as equals, and they treated them kindly. I loved that. And so now knowing that books, the first two books actually should have been one, my next kind of, I guess, dislike makes sense of what happened. But something happens to where Pug is kind of taken out of the fight, and the story kind of skips between Princess Caroline, Squire Roland, and the Duke's son, Prince Arutha. And so it kind of skipped between those three for a minute, and then it just kind of what I felt like abruptly ended. Well, now knowing that it was one book split into two, I can see why that happened, why there was a bit of a disconnect. But other than that, those couple of dislikes did nothing to detract from my enjoyment of this book whatsoever. If you'll remember, I said this is becoming my second. After reading just this one book, which is basically half of the first book, I'm making the prediction this is my second most favorite fantasy series, with the first being the Stormlight Archives. So this has been the year of upsets for me because The Way of Kings usurped my other favorite books and became my favorite book. I am having the most fantastic year of reading. I cannot wait to keep going down this journey. I am so looking forward to continuing this series right here. I am so grateful that Steven recommended this to me because it's phenomenal. Highly recommend, guys. If you've read this, I would love to talk to you about it. I am eating it up. I am a new fan, so I would love to talk thoughts about it with you. But those are just my thoughts about this book. If that sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend checking this book out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to click the thumbs up below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell if you would like to receive notifications for when I upload in the future. I would love to have you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.